All right, gang. Welcome to our event with Notion. Let's get some round of applause, some clap, love heart emojis. If you are pumped to be here, I am so excited to be your host for today's session, which is all around how to launch a new community and on Notion and with AI, because these are the two hottest topics of the century at the moment. All right. And so my name is Paz Pazarski. I'm one of the co-founders of the Community Collective. And I have been so excited to run this session for all of you today with some incredible speakers and hosts. We have Mikey here and Enos and Tim and Alex who are tuning in to help run this session, which is very exciting. We had over 170 people sign up for this session, which is wild and just such a testament that this is really the topic to talk about. So the purpose of today is to really gather live, and hey, if you're in the future watching the recording, and really understand, how do you launch a new community? We might have some people on the call who are founders. You might be thinking about maybe a community growth strategy is for you. Maybe you're about to launch. You've got like 10 people keen and you're just ready to kind of understand the framework. So we're really going to unpack the key steps and the community compass in order to understand how to launch a new community. And of course, we're going to do some Notion demos. This is an incredible tool. We have a really awesome gift to give all of you today with Notion. Yes, Benny, love that. Go Paz. That's me. And really, we want to understand how you can actually use Notion. So we're going to be screen sharing, doing some demos, getting into the details, because that's what we do when we're here. All right, gang, before we start, we've got a ritual here at the Community Collective where we always start our live sessions with an acknowledgement of country. Now, I took this photo yesterday on my morning walk opposite my house. This is our local beach. I'm on the land of the Wadawurrung people, which is down the surf coast in Australia. And I'd love to hear, where are you tuning in from? Post your city in the chat, please. I'd love to hear, are you in what part of the world? You can name the city. That would be really cool to see where you are. And if you didn't know who the traditional owners of the land in which you're tuning in from, we've got a link in the chat because Enos is our tech master. All right, gang, we've got people joining in from Melbourne, and we've got all people in San Francisco. Oh, to Neil, a couple CCians tuning in, Northern Rivers, Newcastle. Oh, Andre and Mikey are in the same area. That's pretty cool. Whoa, Lagos, Nigeria, Sri Lanka. Very cool. Love to see it. Tokyo. Why? Is that Ivan from Tokyo? No, I'm kidding. I love that. How awesome. Well, really, this event would not be made possible without our friends at Notion. And so really, can we all just give like a huge emoji, a round of applause for Notion? Just click the clap hand and gather around. This is how we interact on these live sessions. And Notion is literally the number one work tool of the 21st century, especially in the age of AI, right? It can be your CRM, your company wiki, your meeting notes, and all your AI agents automations in one. If you didn't actually know the story of how Notion started, this is a photo of me and Alex Dam. He is from the Notion team. He is one of the reasons why we're all here at this event, which really allows us to give free education because of Notion. And then the photo on the right here is me with the co-founder of Notion. This is Ivan, and I met him in Sydney last year, and he told me the story of how Notion started. And so Notion was co-founded by Ivan and Simon in 2013, and they actually spent the first 2 years raising capital, building this tech tool because they were frustrated with the fragmentation of productivity apps. And they wanted to build like the Lego of software, hence the blocks. But after 2 years, they kind of ran out of money. They were like struggling with the product. The software was struggling. So both of them moved to Japan and they locked themselves in with noodles and coding, and they rebuilt the entire Notion platform. And they launched Notion 2.0 in 2018 and mastered community-led growth strategy. And now their company is valued at over $10 billion with over 20 million users and are redefining what it means to use a tech stack. So yeah, it's pretty damn cool. And so this is not our first event with Notion. We've ran 4 of these now. But is this anyone's first event with the Community Collective? Post a yes if this is your first event with our Orange Wonderland. Okay, Benny. Yes, Benny. Iva, Caitlin. All right. Well, if this is your first time with an event with us, we actually started the Community Collective by accident. This is a photo of my bedroom in 2021. I was in lockdowns in Melbourne, running a community for a university, feeling very lonely. And I wondered if anyone else struggled with building community. It turns out there were actually many of us. We connected for a meetup in 2021. We gathered 17 community builders to talk about building community. But what we didn't realize is that it would go viral. We had hundreds of people signing up to the Community Collective. It was just a free meetup that Melia and Jala and I were running at the time. And eventually I ended up quitting my job in 2022 and registered the Community Collective as a company. We then had exponential, insane growth across 18 countries. And today we have over 18,500 people in our audience and have trained over 420 companies to build a community strategy through our 8-week training program, which has been wild. This is now my full-time job. I never expected to be a founder, but today we exist to serve companies to build a community. And we've done that for Google, Notion, MYOB, and Founders Factory Africa, and even Canva. So it's been wild to see not only the world realize the importance of community, but also understand how you all build community, because there's so many different ways in doing that. So that brings us to today. We're going to start with a bit of a check-in. We're going to take a group photo at the very start. So if you're ready for that, you can get your makeup on. And then we're going to dive straight into a Notion demo by Mikey. We want to give you first and foremost like a bit of a peek under the hood of like what we're talking about when we're talking about Notion. Then I'm going to walk you through a playbook around how to launch a community. I've got the exact framework that I used to launch our community that went viral, and also the 4-step framework that you can apply today. And then we're going to throw over to Enos and Tim, who are also then going to demo how they have used Notion for their back-end operations. Enos literally launched a new community a month ago using Notion, so she's going to walk you through that. And then Tim is just the bee's knees when it comes to using AI agents, the automations, all of the ops and systems. So I'll introduce you to those 3 very soon. We're going to have plenty of time for audience Q&A. But hey, I've got something to tell you. So just like everyone stop what you're doing. Like stop scrolling your email, like replying to someone else on WhatsApp. Like just stop what you're doing. Just give me your attention for 1 second. I just want you to roll your shoulders back. Like we are humans. Roll your shoulders back. Get the blood pumping. Okay. Like take a deep breath in and deep breath out. Because we are here to learn. And whilst you can multitask and probably do 1,000 things, like you chose to be here now. And so you have an active role as a participant in this event where I'd like you to show up. I'd like you to ask a question. I want you to think of a question. I want you to take notes. And I want you to really be an active participant with this. So you're going to use the emojis. You're going to use the love emoji when Mikey just sends something like so amazing. You're like, I love that. You're going to use the laughing emoji when Alex Dam just cracks a joke and you just can't handle it. You're going to use this wow emoji when Tim just blows your brain. And you're going to give Enos so many rounds of applause, right? So you are going to be an active participant and we want to see those reactions going off. All right, gang, before we jump in to our check-in, we have to talk about our surprise gift. We love the gift of giving. And so we are giving away real copies of Derek Sivers' books, the audio gift version because we're like across 18 countries, and the ebook version. So if anyone gets on the main stage today and asks a question live, so you raise your hand, we're going to email you the book gift straight after the session because we want to encourage the joy of reading. Now we really want to also get a read of the room. We're all here live, so we also want to ask you a question. We had over 172 questions pre-submitted for this workshop, so we're not going to do all of those, but a question we want to ask you is, I'm really curious, who is looking to launch a new community like right now? Like, are you in the box of you're exploring it? Maybe you're number 1. Maybe you're in box number 2, which is you're about to launch a new community. You're like, oh my God, Paz, I'm excited. It's happening. Or you're in number 3 and like, you've already launched a community already. You're like running that and you are just, absolutely killing it. So, okay, we've got the answers are coming in. Roger that. I'm getting them loud and clear, people. We have majority, over 50% in the exploring community bucket. We have about 5 people in the looking to launch a new community. And we've got another like good hefty chunk of people here looking who are already in the community game. Love that. I can see a lot of CCNs on the call, which is good. That's what we call our members, CCNs, if you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, next up, how confident do you feel about launching a community? I really want to understand your confidence level. Whether you are already running a community, I want to hear how confident you are if you had to launch another one. And if you were on the fence and you're like, oh, Paz, like this is new, I want to see what bucket you're in, get a bit of the read. Okay, we've got a lot of people in the like somewhat confident, like depends what it is, right? I'm launching a new community at the moment. I can't tell you what it is, but it's pretty cool. And I like always feel nervous, even if this is the 8th community I'm going to launch, like because it's new and scary, right? We've got a lot of people who are also not confident. So you are in the right place because we're going to understand that. Okay, my last question before we dive into a Notion demo with Mikey is around who is using Notion right now? You know, this is an incredible tool, and I really want to understand, where are you at? Are you new to Notion? You're like, Paz, never logged in. Or are you like, I use Notion. Like I'm in there. I'm using the meeting notes scribe function. Or maybe everything is built on Notion. Okay. All right. I hope like Tim Jeffries or our like Notion demos people are in there, that bucket. Okay, cool. Alex Dam is definitely in the Notion bucket. Okay, cool. All right. We've got heaps of people who are new to Notion. Okay, well, I want to give you a gift right now, because something that we do at the Community Collective is we try and align with really great partners to also give you some really good deals. So we're going to post a link in the chat right now, and we're giving anyone who's starting a business, or you're a founder or a startup or launching a new community, we're giving you 6 months free on the paid Notion plan. So this is Notion AI. This can replace your like meeting notes scribe. So if you're using like Granola or something, like use Notion AI. So you can register for a free account and you get 6 months free on the paid plan. Try it. So you can obviously see the demos today, and then you can go and build out. So you can use the AI agents feature, the automations. You use Muesli. I love that. Well, you can also, test out I use muesli and granola, not toasted. Josh, I'm like so distracted by that chat game. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, everyone, you can click the link, go in, go through the form, submit the details. You'll get the 6 months free if you're a startup, and then you can like get going. But what we really wanted to do today is actually just dive in straight to a demo and actually just give you a bit of a read of the room around what it looks like on the inside before we talk about how to launch a new community. I've got Mikey Ellis here. He's a good longtime friend, an absolute legend. He's based up north in the Northern Rivers in Australia at the moment. And Mikey and I went on a 3-day retreat in Daylesford with this group of business leaders and creators. And we were just chatting about Notion. And he was like, oh, Paz, I love Notion. I was like, wow. And he showed me the back-end systems of Notion. And I wanted to bring Mikey here today because he's the CEO of the Rights of Passage Institute that do amazing work educating schools and young men and families and the education system around leadership and big transformational moments. And he's built incredible communities and incredible businesses. And so, Mikey, could you just give us a peek under the hood of your Notion systems, of what kind of powers the back end of your business?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Paz. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the introduction. And it's so great to be here. You mentioned in, I think it was 2022, that you started the Community Collective. I tried to hire you for a role as a community manager in another company at that time. And whilst you were considering that, you decided to launch your own thing. So I just wanted to say congratulations on what you've created, what you've done over the last 4 years. It's awesome. You're awesome, and the energy that you bring to these sorts of events and everything you do is really contagious and wonderful, and love you. So thank you for all that. I'm just going to share my screen.
Go for it.
And just give you a little bit of an insight to how we use Notion. At the Rights of Passage Institute, I started using Notion personally back in probably 2019, and then in 2020 really began to understand how it can be used. And ever since then, I've used it for all my personal life admin, and in companies that I've worked in, I've used it to help us organize what we do. So for context, the Rights of Passage Institute, I've been on board as CEO for the last 6 months almost. And what I've done is use Notion to help collate and organize and communicate everything that we do. So there is so much I could show you, but I want to just give a snapshot on a few ways in which we use it. And if nothing else, to give you an insight to what's possible. I will start by saying there's a few key lessons. If nothing else, just remember these, because these are the things that I've learned through my experience of lots of trial and error and lots of wasted time as well. The first thing is, before you even open the platform and start designing databases or building pages, the most important thing for me, because I've wasted so much time doing that, the most important thing is start with the end in mind. What is it that you want to create? I've got a couple of examples, and the way in which I like to do this is on paper. So this is the back of a menu that Paz and I drew all over a couple of months ago now. This is a framework. There's lots of organizational structure and some suggestions here. That's one thing I've used to help design some of the architecture of these Notion pages. And this is another one. This is just another big piece of paper where I'll sit down and go, well, like with all the stuff that we have, all the stuff that we need to do, everything I want to communicate, everything I want to build, how do I even start? And so just to map it out visually for me has been really, really helpful. Because once you start talking to Notion, the agents, the AI in there, it's incredible what you can do. And what I find is that I get really distracted and I go down the rabbit hole of building something super complicated that's not actually what it is that I need. And then I try and share that with the team to explain what, and it's too much. So keeping it really simple to start with is helpful. And it is a learning curve, obviously. YouTube videos, the Notion YouTube channel has got some great videos on whatever it is that you need to do. Let me briefly just show you a couple of examples of how we use this. When it comes to candidate track, Notion replaces so many other platforms. It replaces an applicant tracking system for hiring, a database for all of our, not only our customers, but all our staff information, all our client information, all of our processes are all stored in here. I'm going to skip the onboarding and the hiring stuff, but there's forms that you can create really easily. All the data that's collated in the forms goes to a database, which makes everything super easy to find, reference, tag, and actually use. This is an overview of we use OKRs. We've got quarterly focuses. Each OKR for each quarter has projects and it has tasks associated. And once you start mapping them all out, it gets really, really complicated. So if we go to our tasks database, there's a heap of stuff in here and it looks really complicated. If we build and I'm really happy building a complicated database and not be overwhelmed by that, because we can start to filter the database by how we want to view it and what we want to see. So there's an example of that. Dashboards I love when it comes to viewing a lot of complex data. So I'm just really skipping through this at the superficial level, but an example of the dashboard view there is great. I'm just going to show you one last thing before I hand it over to Paz, because I could literally spend, and I do spend sort of far too long talking about this sort of stuff. But in the context of a community, something that we all need to do is create content. This is our content calendar, our content database. This is stuff that we've posted, stuff we've got posted coming up. It's really complex and complicated. However, once we start looking at these filtered views, it makes it easy for us to track what's going where, what's coming up, how we organize content across different platforms and channels and stuff. And so I work with a couple of people in the team on this, and it's our source of truth. We can all be in there and doing what we need to do. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to leave it at that just for a second and show you one last thing before I hand back to Paz, what is going to be really helpful and relevant for building community, I think, is client-facing or published pages. So this is an example of one of the camps that we run. It's a mother-son camp, and we have pages that we can share. We can publish to the web for participants to view, which has all the information that they need on there. And it's a great way for us to share information without having to send heaps of emails and that sort of thing. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. It's been 7 minutes. I tried to keep it under 5. There is so much to do. I love it. And I'm not a paid, I'm happy to be paid, but at the same time, it just works. It works what we need to do. And in terms of creating simplicity when it comes to disseminating lots of information, I haven't found anything that does it as well. So I hope that helps. I can nerd out on this for days, and really happy to do that if anyone wants to follow up on anything specific. But I'm going to hand over to the Notion experts, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to share and what you have to say.
Hey, how good is Mikey? Give us your favorite reaction. Gather around to express gratitude, everyone. Mikey, so cool, right? And this is just like a taster, right? Like as you're screen sharing, I'm like, oh, I want to go like deeper and more, and all of those kind of different rabbit holes that you can go down. But what I love about this is it's such a great example of how you can use Notion just as like the landing page of like, this is about the community. This is the mother and sons camp. It's these dates. This is what to expect. Here's the form if you want to apply and go deeper. And then obviously, thank you so much for sharing your internal brain around also how you set up like the strategy and the metrics, right? It's kind of like, okay, cool. Like maybe your goal is to get 10 members in the first 6 months. Cool. Open up your Notion page, put in your metrics, start tracking, see how you're going, right? And so obviously you're like the expressed version of using Notion for a long time, but it kind of just gives us access to the breadth. We've got a quick question here from Anth, Mikey, that says, is your entire website like a series of Notion pages? And does that replace the website, or do you still use them in tandem?
Yeah, it could. It's not. We have a separate website, but what we're doing is integrating our website to Notion, so that when people register for a camp, they fill in their registration details via a Notion form. It automatically gets populated to a Notion database, and we can capture and store and organize all of that information in Notion. But we do publish pages for specific camps, for specific audience customer segments, with the information that they need. And the reason we do that is because it's so much easier for us to update, edit, publish really quickly without having to build a separate website page for that. And all you do is press publish, and you've got a URL that we can, share with participants, and they can access that rather than having to build a whole other website. So we use both. We've got our website, but so much of what we actually do and what we share and communicate with our customers is via published Notion pages.
Which, is so much better than a PDF, because if you've got details that change or dates or locations, you can obviously update the live page from that perspective. And it clearly has replaced so much of your tech stack. It's not like you have Typeform and then like a meeting notes taker and a CRM and then a hiring application and then, a type, like so many different elements, right? And so it's kind of your one all-in-one workspace that kind of has like been the hub. And I just like love how much you love it. But it's a really good reminder of like how complicated it can get and like how overwhelming it can be. And it's like, come back to your piece of paper. I love that you still have that from Dalesford. I remember sitting down at the cafe just like writing it all out, right? And so it's like, write out what you're trying to build, write out the flow on paper, and then go in and start building. So Mikey, thank you so much. You absolute legend. I love the taster. Please, anyone here, feel free to connect with Mikey on LinkedIn. Send him a note. Say, you're a legend. This is what I learned. Check out the Rights of Passive Institute. And Mikey, I'll see you. I think I'm in Byron in mid-year. I'll fly up. Come hang. Love that.
Yes. Appreciate it.
See you later. You're the best. All right. Mikey is a legend because he's just given us a taste of like the functionality of Notion, right? Around like how easy it is, how affordable it is. Don't go spend like $20,000 building your first community and launching it to find that no one needs it, right? Like we want to kind of have that startup mentality around building and testing quickly, using really accessible and affordable tech tools to do that, and also just streamline your operations, right? Building a community is already complicated. Don't need to, work yourself up in complicating systems. So that's what we heard from Nike. This was the photo of us in Dalesford when we had this idea, and we were like, and that's actually Betty behind us, who's posting in the chat with all the vibes. Love that. But hey, we're here to speak about how you can actually launch a new community, because it's all well and good to speak about the tech, but I really want to kind of give you the framework, because what I really want to understand is, why are you launching a new community? Like what really is the vision and the mission and the problem that you're solving? But before we answer any of that, I've got a very complicated, tough question for all of you. What even is community? Okay. What even is community, right? I think we're in the industry and the age where community is misunderstood, especially in the business context. I remember when I quit my job and I told my grandma I was building community, she was like, oh my God, is that like a disaster relief plan for like natural disasters in Tahiti? I was like, oh, not that kind of community building. Like, is it like a government community building, like neighborhood community gardens? Like, no, we're speaking about a very specific type of community, especially in the context of a business. So I'm going to get us all on the same page around the definition that we use of what a community is and what it is not. So we define a community as a group of people connected by a shared sense of purpose who connect and support each other on a regular basis. Now, really understanding that the most important part of this definition is a regular basis. Your once-off event that you ran in Sydney is not a community. Your once-off newsletter that you sent to your subscribers is not a community. Your Instagram following is not a community. Okay, we misdefine what a community is, of like, join our community and it's a subscriber list on your website. Okay, so let's get clear and educate ourselves on the language so we actually understand. And a really great way is understand what a community is not. If you're looking to launch a new community, you got to know what it's not. So every business should have an audience. Not every business should have a community for their customers. So an audience is what we define as a group of people who are ruthlessly obsessed with a brand's content and culture, and they consume it regularly. So an audience is that passive involvement. That's that one-to-many communication style. It's a minimal sense of belonging. Your newsletter subscribers should not be emailing and connecting with each other. That's a massive data breach. Okay, so this audience consumes the content of the brand. They're your social media followers, the blog, the website visits, the people at that event who came once and then left. They're the audience. But that triangular model is top down. And it's great for building a company and landing customers, generating revenue, and having an impact on the world. But if you want to turn your business into a circular model of building a community for your customers or for your audience, then it becomes this circular model where there's a many-to-many communication style. They're in the Slack, they're in the WhatsApp, they're in the online forum, they're at the weekly dinner club, they're joining the run club every Saturday morning, and they're connecting on a regular basis. It's the same group of people who are bound by a shared sense of purpose, okay? The most successful communities are niche, but even better when they're niche cubes. So does anyone know Broadsheet? Just post a yes in the chat. Have you heard of Broadsheet? If anyone has not heard of Broadsheet, they are a very famous media publication in Australia who are expanding to England and London at the moment. I was having coffee with Nick Shelton. He is the founder of Broadsheet. And I said to Nick, wow, you've built an insane audience. This company has been running for over a decade, and you have built this insane audience of loyal followers who consume the content of Broadsheet. They talk about hospitality in the music industry and like the best restaurants. It's like really vibey. And I said to Nick, hey, like, what does community look like at Broadsheet? So, well, Paz, like, we actually just turned our audience into a community. We launched Broadsheet Access. I was like, wow, what's that? He said, well, we've launched this private membership where people can sign up. And if they're accepted, they can join a private dinner club in Melbourne and Sydney and catch up and get all the exclusive intel on the chef specials, go to Cumulus and really, meet one another. It's great for making new friends if you're new to the city and just have a really great culinary experience. And so Broadsheet capitalized on their insane audience, their street credibility, and the landscape mapping and the demand, and they launched Broadsheet Access. And so this is a great way where a company turned their audience into a community. Now, of course, Broadsheet is like a decade-old company. They've got a massive audience. We might not be starting at that same stage. But I want to ask you, whether you have a business or not, what are the benefits of building a community for a business, right? Post in the chat. I'd love to hear. And if anyone wants to raise their hand and tell me, jump on the mic, I'd love to hear, what are the benefits of building a community for business? Why would a company spend time connecting their members and connecting customers? We got Anth here on the mic. Anth, tell me, why would a company bother building a community?
I think, if you're launching a community, it really helps to validate assumptions and actually get the voice of the customers and have them connect and share with each other as well. This is another benefit.
Yeah, love that, and thanks for sharing. It's like the voice, right? You're getting actual ear to the ground, and you're spending more time with your customers. So thanks for sharing that, Anth. We'll send you the book gift. And really understanding, I think, the different elements as to why someone would build a community, right? Creating champions, loyalty, brand awareness, market research, building trust, growth. Yes, Tanil, love that. You are all correct, all geniuses. Okay, you should all run this workshop, not me. Really, it's understanding about retention, customer retention, keeping them engaged. You're building friendships here. If you created a friend for someone who attended your co-working space versus down the co-working space down the road, I bet you're going to go to the other one where all your mates are. You got new ideas, you get product feedback, you get brand awareness, people taking photos at events, catching up. That's endless user-generated content. We also have an element of impact, right? Actually changing the lives of the people that you serve. Referrals. If I told you I got a haircut at the worst place on earth, are you going to go? No, because you trust referrals. And if you trust me, you're going to go to my hairdresser who's in the Surf Coast, who's incredible. And she cut my hair. She cut off 10 centimeters last week, right? And so really you're thinking about referrals, that generative element of getting revenue and content, right? So let's cut to the chase here, Paz. All right, I get it. I'm bought in. I'm ready. Now, the question you need to ask yourself, because we've got a lot of people here who are looking to launch a new community. Now, I'm going to give you our 4-step framework to understand whether you should build a community or not, because there are 4 key areas that you have to have a green light in order to validate your assumption that building a community will be valuable to the people that you serve. The number one thing you need to start with is business goals. What are you trying to achieve in the next 12 months? If you already have an existing company, what are you looking to master? Obviously you might have a revenue goal. You might want new customers. You might have a brand awareness goal. Or maybe you have an engagement goal, all right? You've got 20% customer retention month to month. So really got to map out your business goals, what you're trying to achieve. Because if you're trying to achieve building a multi-million-dollar company, is building a community going to help you get there? Maybe. Are you trying to achieve more impact? Well, great. That could be really well aligned with building a community. But maybe a sales strategy would be better for you. Maybe a marketing strategy would be better for you. Maybe a product-led growth strategy would be better for you. But if you want a community-led growth strategy, you need to understand your business goals, because the first part of the community coin is understanding what your business is trying to achieve, because you're going to be resourcing the community, right? And the community, if there's no one in it, okay? So then you need to test the audience demand. You need to understand who you're serving, what their challenges are, what goals they're trying to achieve, and then go out and speak to them. The first thing you could do is go out and speak to 50 people, understand if they would like to be connected in a community, and test the demand. Because once you understand what your members are trying to achieve and you can find that sweet spot in the middle, that's where the magic happens. Of course, you need some resources. Launching a community doesn't happen overnight. So you need some money, time, effort, know-how. You need someone to run this community. So you can't just be like, I'll just launch it. It'll run itself. You got to really think about that element. And then the last one is landscape mapping, kind of competitor analysis. If you want to launch a founder accelerator community, there's 252 of those in Australia. So are you going to be doing something different? Or should you just have a partnership strategy where you go partner with an existing community, access their audience, and still achieve your goals, but you're supporting an existing community, right? So think of that collaborative mindset. So once you've mapped two sides, the business demand and the resources, and the audience demand and the landscape mapping of where people are already going for support, you then can work out if a community is right for you. So if you get 4 ticks on all of those, ding, 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 then you can use the community compass. Now, this is the framework in understanding how to launch a new community. It doesn't involve spending $60,000 on some new tech, all right? We're just going back to the basics. And I'm going to walk you through the framework of what I did, but also the framework when we interviewed Seth Godin in 2020. It was like so cool. We had like 75 minutes with Seth Godin. We asked him how he's built all these communities around the world, and he told us the strategy that he uses. So Seth Godin has an incredible strategy, an amazing book of that he used to launch a new community. And he also did this for his book meetups, where he had people gather all over the world, connect on a regular basis about his new book, and he was not even there. And so the strategy that Seth Godin used is also the strategy that we use, which is the community compass. Now, it doesn't stand for Northeast, Southwest, or never eat soggy Weet-Bix if you're in Australia. But it really is about noticing a challenge that people experience, engaging with them early enough, and then sharing your idea of the community and co-creating it with them, and then thinking who, not how. So let's walk through this 4-step process to really understand how you can go about launching a new community. So first, you got to notice a problem that people are experiencing. And then it's not enough to be niche anymore. I'm so sorry, but we are in the 21st century. There's 1,000, companies and tools out there that will help you launch something in a day. So you can't be niche. You have to be niche cubed. So it's not enough to be niche anymore, which is just picking one trait that a member persona would have in common in order to join your community. Being niche squared is niche to the power of 2, where you might pick 2 traits that people have in common in order to join your community. But being niche cubed is one of the most powerful strategies that you can implement to blow the minds of the people that you're serving. So this involves picking 3 traits that members have to have in common in order to join your community. So for example, when we started the Community Collective, we said you have to be based in Melbourne. That's a location trait. You have to be based in, notice and be niche and use Notion. That's it, Benny. And then that's Notion cubed right there. The building blocks for success, huh? And then we had to be the profession of a community manager. And then you also had to be in the startup space. So we picked an industry that you had to have in common. And we said no to everyone else. But then what happens is you build a community like Barbie. I don't know if you've ever been to Barbie's Dream House on a Friday night, but they do not let any Ken walk in that door. It's only for Barbie. So they know that when they walk in that room, they're just like vibing before they even talk to anyone, because it's a vetted space. So you have to have clear criteria. So I'd love to hear, post in the chat, who is your niche cubed member persona? Who do you want this community to serve? Post a couple ideas in the chat. Who are you serving? Are you serving women in tech? Are you serving those who live with a disability? Are you serving those who want to go hiking on the weekend in Nigeria? Right? Post in the chat. I'd love to hear. Yeah, Josh, big Ken energy. Absolutely. And so really you got to kind of niche down, and you can serve more people later down the track, right? You might just start with a certain city and then open up globally. You might start with a certain industry and then open up later down the track. But it's about getting really, really specific on who you're serving and understanding as to who you want to really, really focus on at the start, and then be ruthlessly inclusive of only those people. Then I hate to break it to you, you got to go speak to them, okay? You got to go talk to them. When we started the Community Collective, we had this idea. We then sat down, we ran these dinners. I jumped on phone calls. I sent out a survey. I got email intros. I basically opened up a Notion page, created a list of all these people that fit that niche cube target persona, and I just reached out to them. I found them on LinkedIn, and I asked for email intros to get warm introductions to these people. And then we would just share the solution. We'd say, what are your challenges? What goals are you trying to achieve? And so really it's about spending time with them, because you don't want to create something that no one wants to join, right? So how are you going to connect with your member personas and test the demand of your new community? Then once you've gone and spoke to 50 of those people, you then go spend some time designing up what this community might be. You do some community modeling. Maybe it's an online membership. Maybe it's an 8-week program. Maybe it's a dinner club. Then you've got to go back to those people and ask them, hey, is this what you think would be valuable? Because the worst thing you could do is go, hey, I'm going to notice a problem. going to go build this entire community, spend 60 grand on some beautiful platform, launch a Slack, get a Discord, and then share it with them and say, hey, you should invite everyone to join. If you launched your community with no one in it, you're too late. You've already failed. But there's no such thing as failing, only learning. So the right way to do it is to notice the challenge, niche down in who you're serving, engage them, share a couple ideas of what the community could look like, and get some feedback. And then you start voting. You go, okay, cool. Maybe let's go with the monthly dinner club or a house Friday. Great, let's do that. Then you've got to adopt this mentality of thinking who, not how. Really understanding, instead of asking yourself, how am I going to launch this community? How am I going to run all these dinner clubs? You got to go, who can help me do this? Who has mastered this before? Who can really, really understand what I'm going through, and who can help me? So this is all about co-creation, and this is an iterative cycle, because say goodbye to the triangular community manager model. I hate the term community manager. You're like managing people, this top-down approach, right? You're like telling them what to do and inviting them in. This is not the point. You've already lost them. You were at the center, creating the circular model of connecting each other and understanding what they need. But the how mentality is you're doing it all alone. The who mentality of success is when you go out and you find people who want to help build this community with you. You get some ambassadors, some advisors. You are the community architect who is now engaging with 6 other people who want to build this community with you, who then help you bring in the masses. Okay, if you organize a dinner club and there's already 6 people there on arrival helping you to run it, you can't ever fail. Okay. So before we dive into our final Notion demos and see how Ines launched her first ever community on Notion just the other month, I really embedded the who mentality when I first started. I was working full-time at a university, feeling a bit isolated. I reached out to Melia and Jala. I said, hey, I've got this idea to help people build communities. Do you want to help me do it? And Jala was like, yeah, I'll design the brand. Melia was like, I work at Blackbird. We can use their paid Zoom account. They bought us sushi and wine at the first meetup and helped us get a venue, right? And we then welcomed all these ambassadors. I literally posted on LinkedIn and just said, does anyone want to help me run this community? And we had over 25 ambassadors join. And now we've had events run in 18 different countries with ambassadors all over the world connecting community builders. And so remember, when you give a man to fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach a man how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And the same goes with your community. You can just organize a member event and create one memorable moment. But if you teach your members how to self-organize and co-create the community from the get-go, you will create one viral movement. And so that really starts with working out your plan, working out the strategy of understanding how you're going to follow the community compass. We'll share the slides with all of you. We'll email it out and the recording so you can go back and look at all of this. But really thinking about your strategy, because all the strategy is having a plan with some resources and measuring your success. It's kind of like creating a recipe, right? You just have the steps, your ingredients, and then the measurement. So really understanding how you can start today and what that looks like. So I'd love to now take a moment and we're going to hear from Ines around how she actually launched her first community and how she built that out on Notion to really give you an idea as to what the MVC can look like, the minimum viable community. And so really, let's give a huge round of applause. We've got Ines here tuning in from Melbourne with a fabulous new haircut, and she's going to walk us through her Notion demo around she launched the Adventure Circle for people who wanted to go hiking. So Ines, please tell us, how did you launch your community?
Yeah, hi everyone. So good to be here. I'm really excited to share with you how I launched this new community for women based in Melbourne, wanting to connect in the outdoors and go on adventures together. So this is what my Notion looks like at the moment for this specific community. And what I started with was basically creating just a simple landing page. So I knew in order to start promoting the first event, I would need to share some details and give some context. And so I just created it very simply. What I love with Notion is that you don't need to have like a perfect branding for it. Like it's already looking nice. If you just add a bit of color, some emojis, you can break up the blocks like I've done this way to create different columns. So that made it super easy for me to like share some information. And then what I did at the end is that I created a very short form here. So people just had to click on that. And then this is also made into Notion. And so then to register, they just had to fill out all of this information. Then on the back end, what I would then receive is this. Here I created another page with all of my forms in them. And here I could see, I put just some test data here to not share personal data of like the person who decided to join that event. And then I could go through and make sure that the people were the right one for this event, making sure that they were comfortable, like already hiking outdoors. And so then I could update that status for myself and know if I had to like email them. And then here I could track as well, like for the payment, because there was no payment like included within that form. Then I would have to like arrange that via email with them. And so I could just track that and see as well when they submitted. And so once this was created, then once I ran the event, after that, I also created a short feedback form. And so in that feedback form, this is what it looks like when people have to submit it. And then on the back end, same, here I would receive all of the information, and I could like then even talk with Notion about this page here and like decide on like what should I do next for like implementing that feedback. So very simple. I didn't try to like build the whole thing and like a dashboard, like complicated dashboard and stuff like that. I just thought like this is what I need in order to just get started, and then I'll build from there. And this is like a big tip I have for everyone, because I know it can be overwhelming, especially if you're starting with Notion, to be like, well, where do I even start? Well, just start with like one page and then choose like the next action step that you'll need with Notion. So yeah, this is my little behind the scene on how I launched this new community.
I love that. I love that. So cool, Ines, and like such a great example around like how you got started. And so once you had created your Notion page, you know, you were like, I've got this idea for a new community. You created your Notion page of like, hey, this is, you know, the idea that you had. And then you obviously had the form. What did you do after that? Did you just reach out to people one-on-one? Did you post on LinkedIn? Like, how did you then get people keen?
Yeah. So again, also very simple on that front. I had done a beta test of that event earlier that year. So I just came back to all of those people that joined, like mainly my friends. And so I told them like, this is finally happening. This is the first official event. And then I asked them to also share with their friends. And I shared within communities and people that I knew were based in Melbourne, that I knew could be interested. And I didn't even have like an Instagram page just launched yet. So I just like created that literally a week and a half ago, the Instagram page. So you don't even need like an online presence necessarily. You can just start with your own network and then build from there. Like it doesn't have to go like super big from the beginning. I want to create like small intimate gathering first and like iterate and receive feedback and continue co-creating with the members. And so after that first event, members were already asking like, when's the next one? This is what we want to do. I was like, okay, great. Like, well, I'll just make it happen for you. And then I know that they will also start talking about it on social with their friends, and the word of mouth will help like share about this community.
I love that, Ines. Oh, I'm so pumped for you. And I remember seeing the, you know, first hike in Werribee and all the people there and being like, that was awesome. How can we go again? Right. So it's simple when you break it down. And I think so many people get stuck in the complication or like building of the Slack channel and working out the description. It's just like, go talk to people. Just go talk to people. You don't need a fancy website. You don't need social channels. You just got to go speak to them, share some ideas, couple options, and just play tennis. Just hit it back and forth, right? It's no fun playing tennis alone because you don't get very far. So, Ines, thank you so much for sharing that. I Absolutely love that. And before we segue over to Tim, like I just want to really reiterate like what this process is for everyone, right? Because Enos just took her plan of, okay, great, I want to launch a new community that's for hiking. She took her resources, which was Notion, and then she measured, I've got 9 places for the first members who can join, and literally started to build out that recipe, right? And so really just got to think of your core steps, your key ingredients, and then what success looks like. Of maybe it's 10, maybe it's 1,000, maybe when you're Steph Claire Smith and Laura Henshaw and you launch a community there, 25,000 people sign up instantly. But hey, we start small. And now I really want to throw over to Tim Jeffries, because okay, like buckle up, everyone, roll your shoulders back, because we're going into like the advanced section of this workshop. We had a lot of, Benny's like ready. We had a lot of you asking about AI and how can Notion power AI agents and automations. And so Tim literally helps customers and businesses and founders redefine their systems, get really organized, and have businesses running smoothly. And Tim uses a lot of Notion. So Tim, I'd love for you to share, how do you use like the back end of Notion? If, the community is running and the business is running, what is the capability there?
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to share all this nerdy business. I have spent a bunch of my life running communities, and I wish I had these tools way back then. It would have been amazing. But let me just share my screen with you, and then I'm going to talk you through. I'm going to give like a practical example so that you can sort of see it all working. But I want to help people think about the framework, how to use Notion in and AI together, because I think sometimes we get used to using Notion and then we get used to using AI in Claude or somewhere else, and then how do these worlds come together? So this is how we think about it. This diagram here is just designed to sort of explain the concept to you. So you have your personal agent, and my little guy here, his name is Al, because when AI first came out, I was reading it and I thought they were talking about a guy called Al. Turns out it's a bit more than that. So your personal agent is here, and you might see it in full screen, see it in line in the page. And that's the AI that you use all day, every day to engage with your kind of personal assistant collaborator. And then there are custom agents, which are the ones that you set up in the sidebar that run without you. You don't have to be there. While you sleep, it's doing the work. And you would have seen a lot of marketing from Notion about that over the last little while. So we think about agents as sort of like comparable to each other, because they're just running the process. They're orchestrating things. They're taking your instructions and running with them. So that's one layer. Then we think about skills, and these are really the SOPs for the agents. So you might have bumped into these in other places like Claude, but they are these really key repeatable processes, especially if you're doing multiplayer, where you say, hey, this is our process as a team. AI, this is your instructions to help us follow this process, and then put it into practice. And then guides are the reference material. So like stuff that was in your company handbook, company wiki, that humans needed to read to understand who you were in the world. Now AI needs to read that too. And so you kind of design it for both. So let me give you some quick examples. This is Al, and these are Al's instructions. Now, part of the gift that you're going to get in the pack today is a tool that I've made to help you set this up. It's actually an AI skill that will walk you through the process. And so you just chat with the agent and it will build the instructions for you. But you can see in here, there's a whole bunch of things. We give it special context. We give it operating principles. We give it personality and voice. We give it rules. We teach it about like where in the workspace everything lives. And then we tell it how to reference skills and how to reference guides. So this is the personal agent instructions. You can't sleep on these. If you don't have these set up in Notion, you will be having a subpar experience of what you could be getting. Now, the custom agents, which are all the rage at the moment, are the automated agents. And so here's a bunch of ours. This is all our internal stuff. So you can see we're doing things like pulling texture from meetings, capturing emails, syncing calendars. I'm going to demo to you our kind of new client flow, which I think would be really relevant for a lot of the projects that you're running. So that's the agent layer, the skills layer. So this is, again, internally for SmoothOps, which is our consulting company. These are the skills that we use with agents all day, every day. Sometimes we're using Nosy down here and saying, hey, can you capture this chat context and, or spin up this kind of client documentation for us? Other times a custom agent is calling that. But these are the skills layer. And then finally, the handbook. You've probably seen or used a bunch of these over the years, like the company wiki, the internal docs, how you think, how you work together. And, we have things like you document your process. And now, not just like, new team members need to read it when they're onboarding, but actually the AI goes and picks that document up and reads it every time it runs the skill so that it gets really excellent context. Okay, enough framework. Let's dive into a practical example. So many options for practical examples, but I thought a process where someone new wants to join your community, or, in our case, it's an inquiry, a business inquiry, and you have this piece of information usually that comes to you, an email or a LinkedIn message or something like that, and you're like, okay, what do I do with it? It kicks off, it's the trigger for a whole series of events that need to happen. And so for us, this process that we're going to have a look at, it takes a new inquiry from first contact, and then it runs the whole process through until they become a qualified lead. And so what that means is that in our Notion world, it creates a person record, a company record, the new project itself, engagement records so that we know what has been passed on to us, and then it wires them all together. So it uses the Notion databases to kind of do their magical thing and sets them up for us. And then after all that's done, it actually runs a sort of scoring against this lead to say, is this person or is this company a fit? Does this job make sense for us to try and do? So I want to show you how that works. Now, going back to the 3 layers, agents, I can ask Nosy here, hey, can you run the add new inquiry process? And it will pick up the skill and run it, and will ask me some questions so that it's got the information that it needs. But in this case, I'm going to demo to you the custom agent doing its thing, because who doesn't love a robot that does the work for you? And so here is one I prepared earlier. Now, this is kind of nerdy and you don't need to understand or be comfortable looking at all of the detail here, but this is the agent telling us what it's done. What we might do first is have a quick look at the settings. So the custom agent gets triggered by something kicks it off. And in our case, it might get triggered by a form that gets filled in. And so a new inquiry lands in the inquiries database. It might get triggered by an email, in this case from Notion, from the Notion Marketplace saying, hey, you've got a new potential job. Or it might be triggered by me labeling one of my emails and saying, hey, this is a new client. But what that does is it kicks the AI agent off, and then it starts running its instructions. So these instructions here are where it calls the skill, but you can see it's going, oh, I got a new partner email from Notion. Then I run this skill and I do this, follows its process, right? So then you've got the instructions. And the other thing to understand about custom agents is they have their own permissions. So they're an instance of AI. So you have to say you're allowed to see this and you're not allowed to see this, etc. And you can choose the model. So that is the custom agent doing its thing. And if we have a look here, this is an example of it running in practice. So you can see it, I sent the email to myself, which was a bit weird, but I couldn't find another email address to send it from. So it created a Tim Jeffries. Not sure we need any more in the world, but it created the company. So here's like the company record. It's added the email address. It's spun up this is mythical, by the way. I just totally made this company up this morning, but it has created a new project called Bridgeway Logistics. It's created their engagement. And so you can see this is the email to tell us, hi, Tim, blah, blah, blah. This is all the stuff that we want to know about. We want you to know about our job, all the kind of details that we might need. And so they're set up. Now, if you're anything like me, you would have liked to have thought that you would have always followed this process and done it in the past, but you didn't. And you'd get halfway through the job and realize, oh, I haven't set it up properly and whatever. Now the agent kind of does it all for us. And so that's the first part of the process. And then the second bit is it actually runs the lead qualification. So I want to show you how it picks up a skill. Now, skills, these pages look really complicated, but actually it gets a bit meta here, but you get AI to write its own skills, its own instructions lists. You explain to it what you need, and then you say, hey, can you formulate this into a skill for me? So you can see here, there's a big page that defines things like, this is the process, these are the inputs, these are the safeguards, all of those kinds of things. But it means that every time it gets triggered, it uses the same process, really consistent, really formulaic, and helps you kind of do the work. And then the same for qualifying the lead. So it actually picks up the lead and says, great, now that this person exists, I need to work out if they're a good fit or not. And this is one of the amazing things that AI can do. It can actually say, all right, I've got the information, I've got the context about who this person is and what their job is. And then it uses a guide, which is our kind of qualification rubric and scoring guide. And so there's a whole bunch of rules here about these people make good clients and these people don't, score it in this way. And then in the end, that's how we get this outcome. If I go back to our little example here, we get this qualification lead. And so this person will have been scored just like this. And so the AI has made a whole bunch of decisions and given them a score and then written some notes about it for us. So it's taken it all the way from, hey, we got the initial inquiry all the way through to it's in the system and it's giving us some insight about it. And I thought that might be a workflow that would kind of be useful for everybody else to see. There you go. I reckon that's a whirlwind tour, Paz.
Wow, wow, wow. Can everyone just give some emoji love for Tim? Like, that was wow. We really just like leveled up the session. We really wanted to, give a taster of like what Notion can do. Because yes, you can build a form, you can build kind of like a community page, but it can literally power the entire backend. Does anyone else wish that their whole business was like built by Tim right now? I was sitting here being like, wow, it's so organized, so incredible. And we definitely need more Tim Jeffries in the world. So Tim, thank you so much for sharing all of that. We're going to get Enos back up here as well on the main stage, and we're going to open up for any Q&A. So gang, we're here live. We've got 5 minutes or so before we share another gift with all of you to kind of dive into some Q&A. Was there anything that we kind of want to dig into? Do you have any questions around launching new communities? What we're going to do is really understand if there's something that you want to understand right now in the audience Q&A, because what we want to know is what do we want to speak about right now, right? So I would love to ask everyone, we're going to take about 60 seconds right now. So gang, what is one question you have for today? And please, if you raise your hand, we will prioritize anyone who wants to ask the question live. You can ask a question to me, Tim, or Enos. Otherwise, we're just going to take 30 seconds now. I'm going to put some music on, and I'd love to hear or post your question in the chat, and let's see what you want to do right now. So we'll just take 30 seconds. Everyone click the raise hand function, line up, and post your question in the chat. Here we go. 30 seconds.
They say the holy water's watered down, and this town's lost its faith. Our colors will fade.
All right, you did 30 seconds. The questions are rolling in, coming in hot and fast. We've got a question here from Iva. So Iva, how this works, if you could just unmute, share your name, which city you're based in, and just your one sentence question.
Thank you. Based in Tokyo, my question is, we're about to launch the community. We did run our pilot for 6 months, so we have done all the boxes you said. And how often do you engage with the community to keep them engaged? And how do you manage retention at about 9 months when community often dies?
Love that. And Iva, who would you like to answer this question? Do you have a specific person?
You, because that's how I found you.
Pat, that's me.
Building communities.
Wow, thank you. That's very kind. So Iva, it sounds like you've obviously, launched a new community. You're trying to work out how often do you engage everyone in that first 9 months, right? And so is the community currently, do you feel like the engagement's great, that it's going well, that it's like really successful? Or are you finding it's kind of hard to keep everything moving?
We will be converting them from the pilot into a community. So we will launch the community in the next 2 months. But we have the things, the events that they will join. But how often do you engage with them? Because everyone is so busy in their life, and this is expat mom and founder. So you don't want to overwhelm them. You don't want to not do enough to keep the engagement. So what is the right formula?
Yeah. So how often should we gather, basically? So Iva, there is no correct formula of like, this is it, this will work for your community, but I can give you the framework in how to make this decision. So in order to make this decision, I would use the framework of think who, not how, and use the co-creation and voting. So I would give options. I would say, hey, everyone, we can catch up monthly online. We could catch up quarterly in person. We could do a hybrid approach, come up with the top 3 options. ask them how often they would like to engage with each other, and then only come up with the finalized options that you can do. Obviously you're not going to do like daily if you can't run that, because you're obviously the architect of this community, and then just put it to the vote. So I would then go out to that pilot group and say, hey, we heard you. These are the 3 options of how often we can catch up, and then get everyone to vote on that. So Ivor, I hope that helps for the quick taster for today. And thank you for the question. We've got a question here from Benny. Benny, what is your 1-sentence question, and who would you like to answer it?
I love this, Paz, so much. My question is, I guess for you and Ines, it's around the contributions to community. How do you move someone from being, I guess, a participant to being more of an active contributor?
Benny, you got to pick someone to answer. That's on you.
I'm going to go with Ines then.
Ines.
Yeah, great question, Benny. And I think that in communities, you'll see naturally some members like participating more, being more active, and even maybe reaching out to you or your team, saying like, oh, like, how can I help? Or I have this idea. And then actually, it's all about empowering them with the tool and resources on how to have a more engaged approach to the community. So like we've done at the Community Collective, we have ambassadors. And so we actually created a fully fledged program from them where we look after them, we help them develop professional skills for community managing and also public speaking, and giving them opportunities to practice the skill as an ambassador. So it's like a win-win. They want to contribute and help the community, and at the same time, we help them as well, like progress in their role. And so even for my little community that I just started, someone reached out to me and was like, look, like I might not be able to contribute financially to joining this event, but I can help in other ways. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's co-create a role for you. And so that person was like, I'm like super good at like making content, so I could help you take video content during the event and then create some posts for you for your new Instagram. And I was like, yes, let's do it. And so I think these people come naturally to you, and you will be able to know who these are. And it's about giving them a way to contribute in a more meaningful way that is like a win-win situation.
Love it.
Love it. Thank you.
Love that. Thanks, Ines.
Welcome.
Thanks, Benny. We've got so many questions coming in. We've got 2 minutes left. So Agatha, we're just going to do a quick question from you here. What's your question?
Oh, yeah, thank you for having me. My question, I already wrote it in the chat, is basically how do you move a community from being a hobby to a business? Because I've successfully run a community as a hobby for like 3 months now. I've gotten positive feedback and I've got some really engaged members. But I'm moving, and this in-person community will have to move online with me, which is so exciting because it means it could be scalable. It could turn into something more than a hobby. Yeah, I'm just like in that in-between stage where I don't fully know what to do with it, but it's been a really positive thing for me in my life, running this community, and I think for the members as well. So yeah, exploring that idea now.
Yeah, and how exciting, right? Because it's like, oh, I got traction, but also it takes probably you a lot of time. There might be some money you have to spend there, some tech tools, right? And so the only differentiating factor of a community being a hobby and a community being a business is generating revenue. So if it's not generating revenue, it's like a passion project, it's a hobby, and that's amazing. Or if it's a business, it has a commercial lens. So a business is only either profitable once there's more revenue coming in than less expenses. And so Agatha, it's really thinking about, 1, do you want to monetize the community and turn that into a business? 2, is that actually realistic and viable for your members? And 3, what are the different revenue streams that you could do that? When we started the Community Collective, it was a free meetup community. It was a hobby. And then I realized the commercial opportunity. And also, if I wanted to serve people on a deeper basis, we were going to need money to actually run the thing. And then we launched a paid product. The community paid for itself and it became profitable within 3 months. Now we have a team of multiple staff members and have been running as a business for 4 years, which has generated enough revenue to give us the resourcing and the team and the money to then actually deliver the education and the service better. So yeah, we can like chat for hours on revenue, but that's all the time we have now for that, Agatha. But good luck. I hope to hear how it all goes. You should definitely think about joining Cohort 9 with us in September, and we could go really deep on that. But gang, wow, we've got 5 minutes left and we've got to wrap the Q&A here. But what we'll do is maybe ask everyone a question. So I'd like to ask everyone a question. Should we run another event with Notion and go deeper on this topic? Because we clearly didn't have enough time today. So should we run another event with Notion? This is our last event in the series with Notion so far. So I can go back and chat to Alex and the team. If there's demand, we'll only do that if it's valuable. But post a yes in the chat if you think that's a good idea and leave it with me. Can't make any promises at all. But clearly there's a lot more to focus on here. So I'll chat to Notion. All right, we got some keen beans. So gang, we're going to have to wrap the Q&A there. Thank you so much, Tim and Enos, for the demo and for Alex as well being a part of this event. It's been so fun running this series, and I'm sad that this series is ending. This is our last event with Notion, but hopefully we maybe be able to run another one. So we'll gather your feedback, and I appreciate your expression of interest there. And really, again, so please, gang, we have literally partnered with Notion to give you Notion for free, waiving the finances and the investment. So we're going to take 30 seconds. We're going to put the link in the chat. I want everyone to open up the link. You're going to land on this page. Jump in, click get started for free, go through there. This obviously goes through the series of questions to kind of ask more about what you're building. And then you can get started with Notion. You can start using it, just recording all your meetings as of, just like a get-go. But that is a really great place to start because obviously we've shared the breadth, and I'm so grateful for all of our incredible speakers as well as Mikey as well for kind of sharing what Notion is powered there. But that's all the time we have for today. So I'd love to encourage you all to really think about what was your biggest takeaway from today, right? I'd love to hear. Post in the chat. What have you learned? We're going to take 30 seconds. I'd love for everyone to post in the chat. What is your biggest takeaway from today? Put some music on. You're also going to have time to fill out the Notion gift. Make sure you claim that and make sure you don't miss out. But I'd love, post in the chat. What is your biggest takeaway from today? I'd love to hear it. Tell me all the ways.
Don't want anyone else. I'm the opposite, 12 to 12.
Yes, I love all of these. Incredible. We've got all of the Notion can do more than currently using. Absolutely. There's the behind the scenes of AI. Yeah, wow. Tim just like blew it out of the park, right? Understanding all the different forms, how to launch a new community. Okay, I love that. Well, gang, we will send you an email within 48 hours of the recording with summary notes of the session and all of the slides. And of course, we can't leave you hanging. If you need help launching this community, we literally have built the entire strategy around how to build a successful community. We've done that for many different types of founders because, if you're sitting there and you're trying to bake a new recipe that you've never learned, maybe you're trying to bake a pavlova, you're not going to go just wing it on your own, right? Chuck some eggs and some sugar in a bowl. It's probably not going to come out very well. But if you want to master a pavlova, you're going to go find someone who has mastered that recipe, right? Like my grandma mastered the recipe of baking a pavlova. She taught my mum how to bake that pavlova. And here's baby Paz baking her first ever pavlova and learnt the recipe, right? I just didn't even bother reinventing the wheel. I learnt it from the master. And so Sean Greeley did exactly that. He came to me at a start in South Australia and said, Paz, I'm trying to launch a new community. I'm sick of doing one-on-one consulting. And so he joined our cohort number 4. He met so many CCNs all around the world who were also building communities, made that journey less lonely. He asked Seth Godin a question that changed the trajectory of his life. He then launched his first ever community, which is a B2B sales accelerator in Australia. This is me and him doing the C hand gesture at his community launch. And it was incredible to see Sean take our strategy, implement it, surround him with the accountability and the masters, and basically launch it himself. So if you need help launching your community, you can jump on a call with our team, with Enos, and basically talk about what you need. Or if you want to join the waitlist to join our next cohort program, we just locked in the dates for September, and we run an 8-week program to help. We've got a lot of CCNs here already in the program, so you can ask them how the experience is. And basically, we just hit over 1,000 people who've signed up to hear about our next program, which is wild. So I'll leave you with this. I think this is the start of something really exciting. And sometimes the first step is the hardest one, but you've just taken it. So everyone, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Notion, for being amazing. Hopefully we'll see you at the next Notion event. If not, I'll see you all in the orange ether. Bye, everyone. Feel free to unmute and say goodbye. All right. Say unmute and say goodbye. Bye, everyone. Thank you. See
Bye,
you.
guys. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, team. Bye.
Thank you. See everyone. Welcome to the after dance party.
Don't want anyone else. From the hours of 12 to 12. I'm not the least compelled by anyone but yourself. Looking me and makes me melt. I know you wanna see me and help my life. I'm dealing with the cards I've dealt. While you're dancing with somebody else. Is it always in your plan to live eventually? Because to me there's no one else that can make sense to me. The last and final possibilities. In a room full of people, I look for you. Would you avoid me, or would you look for me too? Tell me, is our story through? Do I have to meet you? I've never felt anything like the love from my final days. Why'd you wait to show me you can do it this way? I never look at you the same. We met in the Paris cafe. Said, can I sit with you? Como ça se fait? My mistake. If I known it would happen this way, I never look at you, looked in the face. Always in your cave. Because to me there's no one else that can make sense of me. That's the kind of possibilities. In a room full of people, I look for you. Would you avoid me, or would you look for me too? Tell me, is our story through? Or do I have to meet you? Baby, I'm delusional, and the way you work is usual. Baby, in another world, I don't feel so unlovable. In a room full of people, I look for you. Would you avoid me, or would you look for me too? Tell me, is our story through? Or do I have to meet you? In a room full of people, I look for you. Would you avoid me, or would you see me through? Tell me, is our story through? Or do I have to meet you?